Welcome back to the Mark to Mark conversation. Actually, I'll call this one the return of the Marks because I think we've been away from you for a bit. But here we are, and we're going to be talking sport yet again. We have quite the menu, so we are going to try and see that we can squeeze it into the time that we have. We will talk football, we'll talk golf, we'll talk athletics, we'll talk some boxing. And then, as usual, we'll give you some betting tips. Hopefully, you're using those well because usually we are right, or we're not. Anyway, Mark, we start with Uganda and that World Cup dream. We had these two recent qualifiers against Mozambique and Somalia, scored loads of goals in those two. And now going into the next qualifiers in October, it seems like that dream or those hopes of a World Cup berth actually have been revived. Of course, most people had thought that we were not going to qualify. We started this campaign by losing to Guinea, and then we fell to Algeria in Nambole and things like that. But now, the possibility is there, even if it's only mathematical. Maybe let me just quickly paint a picture of what Africa has before I bring you back into the cranes. Africa has got 9 slots. Some people out there actually still don't know. Actually, the reason I bring this up, Mark, is because I was asked by one or two people who said, you guys, the two of you, should go on record and tell us exactly what this picture looks like. So Africa, in the increased format for the World Cup slots, has got 9. We have had 5 for a bit. We used to have 2 back in the day. But that's because the World Cup in USA, Mexico, and Canada is going to have 48 nations. So we've got 9 berths. So what CAF did is FIFA and CAF did, they came up with 9 groups. So the winners of all our 9 groups are going to go. As it stands now, we have 2 that are guaranteed qualifiers. Morocco and Tunisia are already through with 2 games to play. They cannot be caught. So Morocco and Tunisia will represent us at the World Cup. By the end of the next 90 minutes of the 180, you expect that Egypt, Algeria, and South Africa will have joined them. Algeria actually are the ones topping Uganda's group. And there are 5 points between them and second place, which is us. And yet there are 6 points to play for. So mathematically, they are not there, but we all know they are. So Algeria, Egypt, and South Africa, that will be 5. So 4 berths left are still to be fought for over the last 2 games, Mark. One is there's a fight between Cape Verde and Cameroon in one of those groups because only a couple of points separate them. There's a fight between Ivory Coast and Gabon, only a couple of points separates them. There's a fight between Senegal and the DRC, only a couple of points, actually 1 point separates them. And then there's a fight between Ghana and Madagascar going into the final 2 games as well. So those 4, where you expect again that maybe Ghana, Ivory Coast and Senegal will make it because their destiny is in their hands. Cameroon, on the other hand, even if they are World Cup mainstays, their destiny is not in their hands because Cape Verde lead them by a point or so. So those are the 4 berths. Now, after that, of the second place teams, 4 of the 9 in Africa will go into a playoff. We'll go into playoffs in October, in November, because we have got these qualifiers coming up in October. Then in November, we're going to the playoffs. The best 4 second-place teams are drawn, 1 against each other, 2, and then they play a semi-final, and then they play a final, and then the winner of that one goes into what is being called the Interconfederation Playoff. That is 6 teams will be fighting for 2 berths at the World Cup. 1 team each representing Africa, Asia, South America, and Oceania. And then 2 berths have been given to CONCACAF in that playoff. The CONCACAF region is the one that has North America, Central America, and the Caribbean islands. So there you are. The situation as it is now, Mark, is that Uganda Cranes is one of the second best placed teams. But that is... out of the 9, Uganda now stand at 7th, and yet they're looking to get into the top 4 of the second best placed teams. 7th only because of goal difference. Because while Gabon are on 19 points, and then you've got DRC and Madagascar on 16, the next 2 to 4 teams are actually on 15. Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Namibia, and Uganda. All the other 3 have a better goal difference than Uganda. That's why Uganda are in 7th. But in 8th are Benin, who are only 1 point behind in 13, and there are 2 games to play. And then in 9th are Tanzania, who have only 10 points, but are actually in a group in which Eritrea withdrew, which is why they have less points, because there are fewer games in there. Africa, CAF and FIFA have not announced themselves on how they're going to do the bit about the group in which teams withdrew, and they're only 5 out of 6. That is the scenario that I paint for you. Where are the Ghana Cranes? Are you with the rest of Ugandans who believe that this is still possible?
No, we have no chance. I think it would serve us a world of good if we focused on using the remaining World Cup qualifiers to prepare for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations, which will be happening in Morocco, where Uganda is grouped with Tanzania, Nigeria, and Tunisia. We have no chance of qualifying for the World Cup mark because one of the games we have to play is against Algeria. And Algeria are going to the World Cup. And Algeria are probably going to beat us. And in the highly unlikely event that we win our remaining 2 games, Mark, we stand next to 0% chance of advancing through that convoluted process because we have playoffs here and then we go to the intercontinental playoffs. So it's a good thing to dream. There's no harm in dreaming, but it's also important to be realistic and not idealistic. So
okay.
Let's not waste so much time, in discussing Uganda's World Cup.
World Cup qualifier. I'll make
because there's no chance that Uganda will be competing in Mexico, Canada, and the USA in 2026.
In fact, let me make this more complicated. While I've just explained the whole playoff process that we have got to go through, Uganda are not yet guaranteed of that second place in the group in the first place because this is the scenario there. So while Algeria are on 19, Uganda are tied with Mozambique on 15. If it finished like this, Uganda would edge Mozambique on
head-to-head.
Head-to-head.
Yeah.
Goal difference and everything and head-to-head. But because they were only second ahead of Mozambique on that goal difference and the head-to-head anyway. But we have got 2 games to play. They are both away, Botswana and Algeria. Mozambique have got 2 games. One is a home game against Guinea. If they won that one, they would already have an advantage over Uganda. And yet their last game is away to Somalia. It's one they're bound to win. So there's a possibility that Mozambique can actually finish ahead of Uganda.
Yeah.
Now, let me complicate it further. Guinea are on 11 points. Uganda and Mozambique are on 15. So Guinea look like they're outside of any chances of finishing second. But if they won both games, they'd go on 17. One of those games is against Mozambique. If they beat Mozambique, they keep Mozambique on 15. If Uganda didn't beat Botswana, and Guinea actually won that game against Mozambique, they'd have a chance because their last game is at home to Botswana. So even Guinea still have a chance of finishing second in our group.
Thank you for reinforcing my point that Uganda is better off honoring their fixtures. It's a good thing to honor their fixtures. Play Botswana and then travel to Algeria and test yourself against the World Cup bound Algeria, which beat us here, both in CHAN and in the qualifiers. So that, and Algeria are neighbors to Morocco. So it will give us a feel of what to expect, at AFCON, where we are grouped with Nigeria, Tunisia, and Tanzania. So the long and short is we're not going to go to the World Cup. And I'm not one of those who's going to waste even a second.
Okay.
Thinking that Uganda can qualify for the World Cup.
I'll differ with you here and say stranger things have happened. And so until that light flickers out, we need to see it as one at the end of a very dark tunnel. A very long, winding, dark, and thorny tunnel. But I agree with you on this one point, that the World Cup qualifiers have helped us to actually continue to prepare this Cranes team for tournaments which we are guaranteed to play in. And those are 2. One is the AFCON in Morocco in December.
Yep.
And the other one is AFCON in Uganda and Tanzania and Kenya in 2027. Now, these qualifiers, the way they've shaped up is they've actually helped reinforce the fact that we actually have a strong Uganda.
And maybe, Mark, the teams may be different, but in one way or another, this wave of CHAN and the World Cup qualifiers, the back-to-back wins against Mozambique and Somalia, they've also helped the team that is going to the Qatar Under-17 World Cup. It's helped them prepare them. For them, the young kids will understand that the nation is behind them and they're going for a tournament of global magnitude, a World Cup. And the World Cup is a World Cup. More so a FIFA World Cup organized by FIFA. So while the players are different and the coaches, at least the mindset will be that this is a very big tournament and you're going to be representing 45 million Ugandans before a global audience.
I agree with you, Mark. All of a sudden, because of Chan being here and Uganda playing well as they did in it, and because of the World Cup qualifiers coming immediately after, and then being ones in which Uganda did really well, the value of putting on the Cranes shirt has raised over the last 2 months. And the appreciation from the general public and an understanding of the players of where Ugandans actually value that Cranes shirt is there. So I agree with you. Those kids now know. They know exactly what it is that they're doing. Having said that, the World Cup qualifiers and Chan have helped us prepare for Morocco and AFCON. Showed Uganda that we actually have a strong team.
And maybe, allow me to say this, Mark. We played very well against Mozambique in a game where I thought we were going to encounter many challenges against a very good Mozambican team which had beaten us 3-1 in the first leg which we played, I think, in Egypt or Tunisia or whatever, when Watanga made 2 mistakes. And then you had a full capacity stadium at Nambole to watch us against Somalia, where we didn't play well. Because even the fans, it was the first time I had seen fans leaving Nambole a bit dampened, despite Uganda Cranes winning, because they thought Somalia they were going to score 5 or 6. I thought that we showed shades of our older Achilles heels in the team, because while we found a very formidable pairing, Mark, in Obita and Capradosi, I thought they were fantastic at the back in both games, and that's why they kept clean sheets. Our goal scoring issues once again emerged in the game against Somalia. So Okello has been on song. He's been scoring goals. I love the goal. And I thought Sam Mugabe did well against Mozambique. But Stephen Mukwala's performance over the 2 legs, I mean, it's been a fountain of energy. He's been making clever runs, but he was guilty of a miss where it was harder to miss and easier to score. And I thought that is something which you won't be punished against Somalia, but against better sides, Mark, we have something
we have to address going into AFCON in Morocco
because you won't get that many chances against Nigeria and Tunisia, you can be sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I look at that team and the improvements we've made, and the reason you say Ugandans were dejected after the final whistle against Somalia is because the expectations were high.
After beating a good Mozambican team.
Yeah, and the bar has been
I thought the phone scoreline flattered to deceive.
Yeah, because that Mozambique win came on the back of those Chan performances.
Yes.
So, I mean, there had been the victories over Guinea and Niger and that dramatic game against South Africa. So, the expectations were high, the bar had been raised, and this was only Somalia. But the improvements in the team have been amazing. You've talked about that striking department. In Chan, we got 8 goals from six different players in 5 matches, which we thought was very impressive. This World
First time ever. It had never happened in Chan. First time ever.
In the World Cup qualifiers themselves, Alan Okello has got 3 goals. Never mind his Chan ones. He has got 3,
including a pitch of a strike against Mozambique.
That was a pitch of a goal.
One of the best goals. I mean, he let fly from 35 yards.
It was amazing. Yeah. So he has that, and he had got, I think, a win against Somalia in the 1-0 before.
Yeah.
And then of course there's a penalty. So he's got 3 goals. So has Rogers Mato. Mato has actually got the goal winner against Somalia before, and then scored twice in that game against Mozambique.
I think Alan scored against. It was a free kick. I remember. Was it Guinea?
It was Guinea. So Alan scored against Guinea, and then he again, as you saw, against Mozambique. So 2 goals from Mato against Mozambique and 1 against Somalia. The win against Somalia in the 1-0 earlier.
Yes.
So he has got 3. Those guys have got 3. Mohamed Shaban has got 2 goals in the World Cup qualifiers. And then there's one, even Fahad Bayo scored our very first goal in the World Cup qualifiers
against Guinea.
That lost 2-1.
Yeah, in Morocco, yes.
And then you've got other scorers. You've talked about Judson Mugabe. So we've got a couple of other scorers. So that department has improved. One of the things, what I thought, of course, is that Mokwala, since it has come into favor towards AFCON, is in a better place than Fahad Bayo and even Mohamed Shaban.
Much better. I mean, Mukwala played very, very well against Mozambique.
Yeah,
The
he
only,
led
thing,
line really
the only
well.
thing missing in his
a goal.
performance was a goal. And then against Somalia, he got the easiest chance he will ever get in his entire life.
There were actually two, but there was that
Yeah,
one.
but there was that one.
where
And
you could close your eyes and finish.
shortly afterwards, the coach, Paul Put, subbed him. And I was like, for me, it was a curious decision because what Mukwala needed was a goal.
Yes.
You've picked him in 2 games against Mozambique and Somalia. He's played well. He's run the defenses into a stupor. He's worked himself in the channels. I've been watching Mukwala and I'm like, has he added a yard or two on his pace? He's lightening quick.
That pace is frightening, yeah.
What he needed was a goal against Somalia. I thought the game was there for the taking. We were creating so many chances. And then after that miss, Paul Put withdraws him. And I saw Mukwala walk from that goal, which is the goal towards the Berogate side. And you know the new rules of substitution where you don't just run direct to the touchline. You just walk from wherever you are. And he was dejected. So while the Cranes were celebrating, the win was secured.
He was dejected.
He was dejected. And I felt that Put maybe should have just kept him on to look for his win. Because
perhaps that, Mark, I'll tell you, although I was disappointed that Put did not involve a few more players in that Somalia game, he had a chance to make some other subs that he didn't make. But I'll tell you this, Mukwala shouldn't worry too much. He's in better form right now because he's playing more frequently. He's been better form than Mohamed Shaban and Fahad Bayo and a few of the other 9s that might compete against him. There are some domestic best ones, especially Ivan Aïn, perhaps when the league starts here. But Mukwala will definitely be on the plane to Morocco. He's just transferred from Simba to a team in Libya for $1 million. He is basically in a good place, and there's just a few months. Only injury can stop him from being on a plane to Morocco. But that striking department, of course, the combinations between them and the abilities to break down a low block, because we played well against Mozambique, we played well against Guinea and Niger, teams which didn't respect us too much to sit back.
Yes.
They left spaces in there to run. And that's where the pace of a Mukwala and the same and all it shows, a Mato. But when teams sit back, we can't quite break them.
We can't. Yeah, it becomes
that was the problem with
Somalia yes.
for most of the game. Never, but that's something that Paul Put has to work
on. And maybe you're right, because teams like, and I'm thinking about AFCON in Morocco, teams are going to open up. You're playing Nigeria and Tunisia will come at us. They'll come at us because they think that we are playing Uganda. They have to bring the game to us.
So we should be able to have some counter-attacks like we had in Chad.
The challenge will be Tanzania because they know Mukwala very well. He plays from there. And, they'll think, Tanzania is a derby. Actually, I think that will be our hardest game in Morocco.
That's a tough one, yeah.
It will actually be our hardest game in Morocco, and not Tunisia and Nigeria. Because
the good thing about it is that Tanzania do not respect us enough to sit back. Like
the way, they won't sit back.
The way Somalia did.
Yeah.
So if they leave spaces in there, it's hard for us to break down the low block. We're not very good in that kind of creativity.
Yes.
Opening up. And then middle block also we have problems because our possession game is still lacking a little bit. But if it's an open game where teams are attacking us, we're in good stead.
Yeah. And that's where Mukwala becomes an asset.
An asset, definitely he will be. Having said that, what has given Ugandans even more hope than that attack is actually our new look defense. The light skins have come in there and have shown us what it means to be calm, what it means to be technically polished, what it means to play at a high level. Because these guys all play at a higher level than Uganda.
Toby Sibik
at right back, Jordan Obita and Kaprodosi in central defense. And then the darker one is Aziz Kayondo out on the left. But Kayondo is playing at a very high level in Czech Republic, and he has been our best performer.
By far, Uganda Crane's best performer over the last 2 or 3 years.
Consistently, Aziz
Kayondo is in the form of his life.
So we have a formidable
he can barely put a foot wrong.
So where you had Torach and Mukundane working really hard in Jan, clearing the ball, showing area strength and everything, you have Kaprodosi and Obita who will actually calm the team down and start play out of the back rather than punt forward.
Yeah.
And Sibik does the same. He's even bigger than them at right back. So Sibik, the question was, after we saw him against Somalia, was why hadn't he played before? Why was Elvis Bomono and Kenneth Semakola being preferred at right back when you had a guy that good. I mean, this is a big guy, but who has great feet
he's
for a
great
big
fit,
man. Yeah?
and he's a thinking defender.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's
defender.
calm. He's good
I think
in
it's a good thing
possession.
that Uganda
He
Cranes.
passes. When he gets the other side, he can put it across.
Finally, we have options, and I'm happy that we have all these guys in camp, because the coach all of a sudden has the dilemma that every coach in the world would want to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a plethora of options, you have a selection dilemma, and you have to think through who you're going to pick from a selection of very, very, very good talented players around you. And I think that bodes well for our campaigns going forward. Both for AFCON 2025 in Morocco, and then 2027 in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania.
Yeah, just as I wind up this conversation, Mark, there are two things there. One, we've talked about an attack which has improved, but which still has some work to do.
Yeah.
And we have talked about a very good defense, back four. And the backups are good. I mean, Caprodossi and Obita will always know that you have a Torajo and Arnold Adong waiting. And
you even have a Bevis.
Bevis Mugabe, the big man as well. And then right back, the options are now there. Aziz Kayondo, where you have Habat Achai and others who can deputize. But two things here. One, that midfield. Khalid Aucho back in the team, a lot more calm. And then he was partnered by Kenneth Semakola. The questions are still there. Alan Okello played so well ahead of them as a 10 in that midfield three that he will be on the plane.
Okello is the first name on the plane to Morocco.
You expect Travis Mutiaba as Alan's deputy, if you like, will be on that plane. Mutiaba also had, by the way, goal in the World Cup.
Yeah, Travis will be on the plane against Algeria. Travis on the plane.
Yeah, he'll be there. And then maybe a Jonah Kakande.
Yeah,
as one of the other deputies for that role.
Yeah,
he's better wide, but I think he's a good deputy for that. In that role as for the 10. But interesting thing, because we have talked about this on two different mark-to-mark conversations.
Yes,
let's just wind down with it. Onyango is back in the Cranes team. He did not play any of the qualifiers, despite the hype around his return. Salim Magola came back into the team as well, recalled. And then, of course, Magola got the gloves ahead of Onyango and Nafian Alionzi and Joel Matrakuba, who had kept goal in Chan.
And kept both clean sheets?
Yeah. Between now and then, does Onyango reclaim that number one slot? Or
no.
Do you keep Magola in goal for the Chan in Morocco?
I keep Salim Magola in goal
for Morocco,
because first and foremost, Salim Magola, in terms of hierarchy, is the natural successor to Dennis Onyango.
Natural successor,
yes. He's very experienced. Salim was at AFCON in 2017 in Gabon.
Yes.
Salim was in AFCON 2019 in Cairo.
Yeah.
He had a fallout with the federation because he's quite an outspoken character. But he's been keeping goal in South Africa, and he did what he had to do in the games against Mozambique and Somalia. And the Americans say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So what are you fixing?
There's two games.
And Dennis Onyango is...
Botswana and Algeria, where we'll see.
He's the younger guy. I do not think, like I said, Dennis Onyango can get any better. I think Onyango is in camp just to offer guidance and seniority and leadership, and maybe just to inspire the guys around him.
But with the world watching in Morocco, and this is perhaps going to be the most watched AFCON in a long time, because of the kind of hype that Morocco attracts and the visibility of African football increasing exponentially with each year.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be more cameras in Morocco.
And the Galaxy of Stars will be in Morocco. Absolutely, you have Hakimi, Ashraf, you have Mo Salah,
Victor Osimhen and Lukmans of this world.
The Lukmans, the Molas, and you have some of those Moroccan chaps, the Bonos and El Nezris and so forth. I think it will be a wonderful tournament.
It's going to be wonderful.
And coming just a few months before the World Cup, there are going to be many players who want to stake their claims in their national teams. And I think it's going to be one of them. And Morocco, I can't believe who have made a bid towards the World Cup. So in terms of organization, they're up there with the very best the world has to offer. Yeah.
They've got beautiful stadiums in Rabat and in Casablanca.
Casablanca,
and Tangier and
Marrakesh.
they've got a beautiful country.
Yeah.
It's really a holiday. It's one big holiday resort.
It's a holiday
Morocco,
resort,
if you
yes.
like, yeah.
Yes.
And then they are so advanced as far as Africa is concerned in terms of facilities and everything that actually they are going to be hosting the World Cup itself.
In
2034?
2030.
2030 actually, they are part of the World Cup hosting.
I did a train
with
ride,
Portugal
Mark.
and
I did
Spain
a train ride from
Uruguay. Yeah.
from Marrakesh to Rabat. No, Marrakesh to Casablanca, and it was beautiful. It was like I was in Europe. The countryside, the technology. Morocco is up there with the very best.
They actually use speed
hosts.
trains. I think they only use
yes.
them on the continent.
Yes. And Marrakesh is the second most beautiful place in Africa after Cape Town.
So
it's going to be a tournament that everyone will want to be part of.
Yeah. So because of that, I wonder if Onyango will want his Third Nations Cup to just be one on which.
Of course, he would want that. Dennis Onyango would want that. Obviously,
in front of.
I don't know if Paul Put will want that, but Onyango will want that.
Let's see.
But the right thing to do is to keep Salim Jamal in goal. Period.
Let's see what Put does between those two games, Botswana and Algeria.
These are trial games, Mark. I would not be shocked if he gave an Alionzi goal or whoever, I don't know, Mutakwa or anyone, or even Dennis. But the more important games, Mark, he's not going to the World Cup.
Trial games.
We are not going for the World Cup, Mark. We're not going for the World Cup. Okay. Those are trial games.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Some of them will be glorified training sessions.